Good morning, good evening, or good afternoon, depending on where and when you're watching this broadcast. I'm Thomas Fessler, my friends, and this is Disclosure Tonight. Happy Friday, everybody. Friday, November 8th, 2024. The dust has settled, and we have a new Disclosure president. Let's get together as a community, my friends, and talk about that upcoming UFO hearing. How about that? We knew it was going to happen. We're going to get there. We've got, like, LUE Elizondo's not going to be in our house, but he'll be in the House of Representatives in their hearing. It's going to be a fun one, my friends. On that note, before we get too far ahead of myself, let's go ahead and find those drums and welcome in our wonderful audience. Where are the drums, Thomas? There we go. Let's put on our drums and welcome in our audience and see who the heck we have out there. Yes, it's Friday, November 8th, 2024. Wonderful day. What a day. What a week. What a prediction. All three of them. He ran again, he got elected, and it was a landslide. Trifecta, my friends. I know. You gotta have fun with it. Gotta live in the moment. Yeah. Oh, by the way, hold on. I have to take a drink of my liberal tears. Couldn't taste any better. Let's go ahead and take a look who we have out there in the audience. We've got country carpenter Eli McGinnis. Tio Loreno is cracking up in the back. Firefly is here along with Frankenstein, J-Cat, Jeff Pearson, Kathy, Kelly Barode, and those piercing blue eyes. Good to see you, Kelly. King Bull's here along with Niles Guy. Pete Liebel's around along with Shelly Montgomery. Stargazer 46 and 2 is here. Super unknown. Tio Loreno once again. Victorian Hance and Wildcat Mahone. Pete Liebel just popped in. Good to see you, Pete. Pete Liebel. I think King Bull, maybe Niles Guy. I am losing track of all the people who are popping into the show right now. One Templar Knight. You're new. Welcome to the show, my friends. Remember, please like, subscribe, share on social media. Be a part of the program, my friends. All right. On that note, it's time to turn off the drums and welcome in our back audience and see who the heck we have out there. Well, the first friend we have coming in all the way from the United Kingdom. Surely we've got a new president who's going to be really buddy with Keir Starmer. Let's go ahead and welcome in our dear friend Andy W. How's it going, Andy?
Hi, Thomas. Hi, everybody. Yes, what an interesting week for you Americans and for us Brits as well. It's going to be interesting coming up.
Yeah, especially after we had 100 of Keir Starmer's best here trying to get people in Pennsylvania to vote for Camel. It didn't seem to work. I don't think he has the influence in the UK or the US that he thought he had.
He's got no influence in the UK. There's very few like him here. It's great. I'm waiting to see him squirm and our foreign secretary as well when President-elect becomes president and then eventually comes over here.
It should be should be wonderful. I can hear that all. Wait, I hear something coming from across the pond. Wrong one. There we go. The old perpetual toilet flushing. Thank you for coming in here, Andy. Wonderful to have you here. Next up, we've got someone in the back. He hasn't said a lot, but he's here anyway. Let's welcome in the Chromosome Cowboy. How's it going, Chromosome?
Hi, Thomas. Fine, thank you. How are you?
Pretty good, pretty good. Holding up there, my friend. Thanks for coming in today.
Excellent, thank you.
Yeah. Also, next, we've got our remote viewing targeter. Let's welcome in our person from the upper Midwest. Let's welcome Laura Campbell. How's it going, Laura?
It's going great over here up in the cold Midwest. But our heart is warm for the victory for the happy people. And it also goes out to the people that are very sad. So really, I'm trying to be Sweden right now. Happy for everyone.
Happy for everyone. For the good times ahead. Let the good times roll, my friend.
Yeah, let's hope for everyone.
Yeah. Let's next welcome in our next friend who's coming from the country where all the U's are silent. Let's welcome in Michael Sokoloff from the great country of Canada. How's it going, Michael?
It's going good, and we got exciting times, eh? Very exciting times.
I think so. I think it should be a really exciting show, exciting week coming up, and an exciting next 4 years. Thanks for coming in, Michael. Hopefully you can get that change coming over soon, too, and kick Trudeau where he belongs, out of office.
I don't think so.
You don't think it's going to happen?
No, he'll either have another minority government Pierre just doesn't have the same charisma that Trump has. So he's not. He just isn't going to make it.
Yeah.
I mean, he might be good in the polls right now, but down the road when it comes to vote.
It would be great if Trump could go ahead, follow behind Danny Sheehan with Ubiquity University and start. Well, he already had a Trump University. Damn, that fell apart too. Let's turn our sights ahead and let's turn the world upside down and welcome in our next guest coming all the way from Australia near Queensland. Let's welcome in. I'd say it's none of your business, but it's actually Susan Ford. How's it going, Susan?
Jesus, don't put me in that bloody state. I'm not a Queenslander. What's wrong with you?
You said you were near it before when I was looking on the map.
I'm near Sydney.
Okay.
I couldn't get anywhere further than Queensland if I bloody tried, mate.
Well, I'm American. I don't get it.
No,
for some
great.
reason, I thought you're by Queensland. Oh, well.
No, in Sydney.
Yeah.
Just north of Sydney.
Yeah. Okay. We'll figure that out next time.
But nowhere near Queensland, right?
There you go. Let's turn our sights back onto the U.S.
No, I'm really glad to be here. Just what a week, huh? What a week to be alive.
Oh, I know. For a lot of us, we feel that way. Half of us feel that way. The other half of us don't. But, it's actually a little bit more than half, so that a little bit more than halves actually win.
And I'm really excited for Disclosure because I think we would have got nowhere had Kamala got in. So I think we have a little bit of a chance with old Trumpy. So let's see.
Fingers crossed. That's what I've been saying for a while. And I've heard a lot of naysayers, especially coming potentially from New York, but you never know. I think it could turn out in our benefit. Again, that's just me being in a positive manner on this one. You have to be. Especially when you're talking about disclosure that is like the slow drip, drip, drip.
I know.
Yeah. Oh, boy. All right, let's move on. Let's welcome on our next person here. Rick Roberts. How's it going, Rick?
Doing good. I'm looking forward to the show.
Good to see you, my friend. Nice sticker. You voted. Where's that say on there? DuPage?
Yeah.
DuPage County. You're from DuPage, Illinois? DuPage County, Illinois?
I'm in Glendale Heights.
Oh, you're in... God, I used to live in... There was another name I had for that one, but yeah, I used to live in Bloomingdale, Addison area, right? Your next door neighbors.
Mm-hmm.
I used to go to John's Donuts in Glendale Heights on a regular basis. If it's still around, probably not. But
oh, they're crappy. They're still there.
Oh, they used to be good when John was alive before he sold out.
Yeah.
Well, good to have you here either way, my friend. Let's move on down the list. Let's go to Tia Loreno, coming from the East Coast. How's it going, Tia?
Hey, Thomas. Happy for the show. I'm excited. My president won. I'm going to try to keep my excitement down.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Because I'm really excited about it.
There you go. So. You look 10 years younger. So, how about that?
Well, thank you.
Yeah, maybe it's the lighting.
Probably.
Well, thanks for coming in. Let's turn that down and let's turn our sights on to our own officer Stadenko, the narcotics squadron. It's actually time to welcome in Mike Disclosure. How's it going, Mike? What a week.
Oh, I'm telling you, incredible, Thomas. Between the election and now the announcement for the upcoming UAP hearing, very, very exciting times. Going to be interesting.
Are you reading the same things that I've been reading? Because you're saying it's exciting, and I'm just like, oh, God, no. Did they?
Well, look, you never know. We talked about this before the show. There could be some interesting testimony that's coming out in this hearing. We'll have to wait and see.
Oh, I hope so. I certainly hope so. It's going to be more than a book review, a book report. I hope it's going to be more than hearing what we've heard on Unexplained Oddities about ghosts. I hope it's going to... There's a lot of things I hope it's going to be better than, it's an interesting topic. Well, what are we talking about? We're talking about the upcoming UAP hearing. Let me get to this right now.
We are.
Yeah.
But I just, as a reminder, Thomas, that our audience likes to be optimistic. And when we pull back a little bit on that and share our opinions, they sometimes take that in a negative way. So we're tempering.
We're not
things.
being negative. We're not being negative here at all. We're just being cautious. What happened on the last hearing we got? Who do we have there? We had David Fravor. We've heard his story many times before. We had Ryan Graves. He's not even a first-hand witness. And we had David Grush, and he came forward and had all this great stuff to say. What happened? Nothing.
Didn't move the needle.
It didn't move the needle. You had the pushback from the DOD. You had Sean Fitzpatrick or Kirkpatrick going unopposed, taking anything that moved forward and moving it back. And then we were supposed to have Grush come forward with an op-ed in January and then February. And then, well, it's November, and there's been no official response, a truly official response coming directly from David Grush on this, has there?
No, nothing. But then he also had to contend with the breaking into his house with him and his wife.
But that happened, Mike, that happened years ago.
Well, what didn't happen years ago is after his testimony, he had Ken Klippenstein come out and do the hit piece on him.
Yeah, Klippenstein, whatever it is, said some nasty stuff, but you can't be like some people out there who are really thin-skinned, you know what I mean? You can't let it get to you. You have to let it go in one ear and out the other and say, hey, I was suffering by PSD. Fuck you, asshole. And move along. Don't take it personal. Don't internalize it. That's the problem. Don't let them get to you, because if they get to you, they've won.
But the point was, compared to how it occurred over a year ago at the last hearing, moving forward to the current hearing that's upcoming, it's different. We're not having a Grush type of
no, we're not. We're not going to have
forward.
Grush coming forward and talking about, like he did in January of this year, to those expensive investors and Peter Thiel or someone like that in New York, when they were talking about that craft that they went inside and it was like, small on the outside and the like 75 feet on the outside and the size of a football pitch on the inside. Yeah, they were we're talking about something like Doctor Who. We're talking about something, a dimension, something from another dimension.
Interdimensional technology.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be amazing to bring forward to the halls of Congress.
Yeah, he didn't say that in the testimony during Congress.
I know, but that came after that, which means it would be primed to bring it out now.
It would be perfect. I was hoping that they were going to have him come back.
Right.
A lot of other people were as well.
And what's different this year also, Mike, what's different this year also is, remember, leading up to the hearing last year, we had news story after news story after news story coming from Ross Coulthart and News Nation and Ross Coulthart. And all of this up-to-date stuff, we're going to spread all this stuff, build up the hype before the hearing to get the public excited about it.
Right. And it was a lot of movement on disclosure. They were working on the first draft of the UAPDA. They also worked on legislation for the NDAA and the Whistleblower Protection Act. All of these things were positive things. But from then to now, it's slid completely backwards. The only thing we had from then to now...
you had the UAP Disclosure Act. Let's be honest about this. Let's be really freaking honest for our audience's sake and for the sake of everyone in the community on this one. They took the same stinking languages they had last year that failed, and they brought back the same package, the same giant bill that was too big to shove down the throat of Congress. Even frickin' the Senate gagged on it this year. Last year they took it without even thinking. This year they gagged and spit it up.
No, they weren't having it.
No, they weren't.
Plus, no, all we had was influencing the public opinion this entire year since the last hearing was Sean Kirkpatrick telling everybody it's a balloon and it's not real. And the public that is not as well read in on this was believing that because, like you pointed out many, many times here on the show, there was nobody from the disclosure side pushing back against his false claims and disinformation.
Yeah, there were people on Twitter pushing back, but there were no heavy hitters like LUE Elizondo, David Grush, or anybody coming forward and telling this guy to sit and rotate.
Right. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
And they gained a lot of ground in pushing the genie back in the bottle to a large degree.
And, you know, we're not going to get anything nasty out of Lou coming against him because Lou does. If Lou says, if I don't have anything nice to say, I'm not going to say anything.
Right. That's who Lou is.
Right.
So he's not going to push back.
Yeah.
But the problem is that Kirkpatrick, unfortunately, gained a lot of ground with his disinformation for people who don't know any better. And they bought his seemingly credible explanation that there's nothing to this, which is why the momentum slowed down. Now, like you said, let's be honest with our audience, based on who is scheduled to testify, do you really feel there might be some forward movement after this hearing comes out? That's the question. $64,000 question.
Do I
general,
feel
I mean,
that we're going to get any positive forward movement? Oh, wait a second. We got a bunch of super chats here, Mike, really quick. Before I get to that, Shelley Montgomery, DT is the place to be. Thank you very much, Shelley Montgomery. Remember, every super chat that comes in Disclosure tonight goes back into our production fund. Thank you very much on this 8th day of November. Eric Roth and the Guru is looking forward to the show. I didn't even realize Eric is in Australia. It's $8 Australian. Faze Will, like, share, and subscribe. Shout out Thomas, Mike Disclosure, and everybody else. How about that? Thank you very much. I appreciate that. So, Mike, back to your question about the hearing. I don't know. I want to get excited about it, but I also want to come into this with tempered expectations because we've had, above and by far, the first hearing we had when it was the hearing of the UAPTF, we actually got some good stuff that came out of it. We actually had some good releases, some good reports coming from the government. Ever since Kirkpatrick has been in, it's been a shit show. Granted, again, we had Grush, but there's a lot of talk and no action. This year we've got LUE Elizondo. We've got, let me bring it up here, Tim Gallaudet from NOAA. Michael Gold. We've got a bunch of videos on Michael Gold. And Michael Schellenberger, a reporter. If you're going to bring Schellenberger on, why in the hell aren't they bringing George Knapp on? I've got to say. Granted, Schellenberger had that stuff about Immaculate Constellation. It seems to be a constipation about getting anybody to talk about it. We thought the hearing, Mike, wasn't it going to be supposedly centering on the whistleblowers from Immaculate Constellation? That didn't seem to happen, did it?
It was supposed to be, because like we talked about on the show, Schellenberger's key witness that created that report that was submitted to Congress and was given to Schellenberger himself, and even George Knapp saw that report. The witness himself is in fear of his family and himself of being prosecuted or killed. So he does not want to come out publicly. He does not want to testify publicly. He wants to remain safe, which is his right. But we also said there were 3 other whistleblowers with direct knowledge of that program that may come forward. And that's what they were supposed to do. But it turns out, in the end, as a plot twist, Congress decided to have Schellenberger himself testify about the whistleblower that won't come out publicly, which is the strangest decision that I feel they could have made. It's very odd. That's like in the last hearing when Ross Coulthart had interviewed David Grush before the actual hearing.
Yeah, exactly.
If then they decided to have Ross Coulthart testify at the hearing instead of David Grush, what do you think the impact of that would have been? And it looks like that's exactly what they're doing now with Schellenberger and his witness.
Well, maybe our president-elect can go back to McDonald's and make some more fries to go with this nothing burger of a hearing.
Maybe he can.
Yeah.
You never know.
I don't want to be negative about it, but the thing is, again, I'm just trying to help the audience, saying don't set your expectations too high.
Don't hold your breath.
Yeah.
Don't shoot for the moon. Don't expect the miracle to happen.
No.
That's the point. But I'm trying to just temper our response to not make the audience feel that we're just coming down on it.
Technically, this is our third hearing we're having on this. So I know generally on the third date, it's about, hooking up. Don't count on it. Don't count on the Big Bang.
Yeah.
So, coming from the House of Representatives, they do have a statement. This is our second hearing on the topic of UAPs. And the American people are tired of the obfuscation and refusal to release information by the federal government. That's why they've got such great people coming forward. America deserves to understand what the government has learned about UAP sightings and the nature of any potential threats these phenomena pose. We can only ensure that understanding by providing consistent, systemic transparency. We look forward to hearing from expert witnesses on ways to shed more light and bring greater accountability to the issue. So that's what it's going to be about, hearing expert witnesses on ways to shed more light and bring greater accountability on the issue. Well, the easiest thing to do, Mike, is on any of the laws they pass, put some teeth in there. So if the DOD fails to do what they're supposed to do, lock them up, throw them in jail, kick them out, whatever we have to do. You need to have ways to enforce it versus going on the goodwill of the deep state to follow the laws that are being passed by Congress, right?
Yeah, no, you're right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I agree with that.
Well, we do have a couple friends in the back with their hands up since I've encouraged our friends in the back to raise their hands. Let's go to Nunya Business and then Brian Pemble. Nunya, go ahead.
You know I'm an optimist. That's just who I am, all right? But I also realize that, with optimism comes setbacks, and that's just part of life. But you got to look at what the last hearing gave us. All right? Always got to take away the good. All right? It didn't get us disclosure. It didn't happen. But that's fine. That's a setback. And I would be surprised if we did.
But according to people like Elizondo, really quick, Susan, disclosures already happened. The government's already talking about it. They may say that. But do you think disclosures really happened? Because I don't.
I don't feel it has yet. But what we did get is we got people talking about it to their families. We got the media taking it more seriously. We got a lot out of that. We really got a lot out of that, more than we ever have. So we've got to take those good points. As long as we just keep the movement moving forward, we will get there. We will get to the goal.
Yeah.
That's my 2 cents anyway.
Oh, I certainly hope so, Susan. It's just one of those things we take a look at and just, but just don't set your expectations too high. That's all I'm trying to do for the audience is look at it, say, okay, look, we've got another hearing. Let's wait and see where this goes before getting all excited that your presidential nominee is going to actually get elected to office. You know how that can go because it's just going to set you to fall apart. Brian, you have your hand up, my friend. You have your voice back.
Yes, the voice is back. I am good to go. So I apologize for the other night.
Oh, no reason to apologize, my friend. Thank you.
Had to get the information out. My questions are either for Mike or Thomas here. Now, Schellenberger has testified before. This is not unusual for him to be up in front of there. He's used to it, but it's just odd. Right. It's just odd in this format. I would be curious, since his whistleblower has backed out for safety concerns. Do you think, because what these witnesses can do is they can submit evidence to the committee, do you think that he's going to submit that 25-page report on Immaculate Constellation?
It was already submitted to Congress, Brian, and it's 27 pages. It was already
submitted. I did not hear it's already been submitted. That's good.
It's been submitted before Schellenberger broke the story. So they have it, Schellenberger has it, and George Knapp has read that
But
report
has it been
as well.
added to the congressional record? Granted, it's probably classified, but hasn't been added to at least a classified congressional record, Mike? Or has it just been shown to them and that's all it goes?
It was submitted to them. They reviewed it, and they're focusing portion of this hearing on what was contained within that hearing, within that report. That being said, George Knapp, who saw the report as well, did an interview recently and spoke about it.
Mike, run with it for a second. Go ahead.
I got it. What George Knapp explained was that when he saw the report, he has people high up within the government that are very well aware of a lot of these secret programs. And he ran by the information that's in that report to them. And Schellenberger, when he broke the story, he mentioned some aspects of what was also contained in that report submitted to him and Congress, like the F-22 that was on patrol in an area and had 3 to 6 UAP objects boxed in, and one of those objects fixed its position right off the canopy of the pilot to the right side of the aircraft. And no matter how the F-22 pilot tried to evade and break free of the UAP that was surrounding the aircraft, that one object stayed fixed in its position, no matter how dramatically the aircraft was trying to evade. Could not shake it, could not move its position. It stayed locked within a few feet of the pilot off the canopy of the aircraft. So Schellenberger revealed out of the report details like that. And Knapp, who saw the entire report, asked a lot of people that would know what their thought was about it. And he said that he saw it and he feels that there are things in that report that are real, and there are also things in that report that are not real. And people within the government that he trusted told him that some aspects of that report are ridiculous. And if any of those things were true, they would be the first to know about it. So there are aspects of this report that I don't think it's going to be read out at the hearing and publicly, because like you said, a lot of it is classified. The parts of it that are real that I know of is the actual Immaculate Constellation program.
Yeah.
That's real. As far as the claims that were made, and allegedly there might be some claims about a TR-3B or an ARV, alien reproduction vehicle, that may not necessarily be true. So you have to take it with a grain of salt, and that's where we stand with Schellenberger, his witness, and this report so far that's come out publicly.
Yeah. Seems to be that way, Mike. Now, if I could go ahead and bring up here, it's worth taking a look. Let me go ahead and bring up the list of the witnesses and their titles. I want to focus on their titles. First, we have Dr. Tim Galladay. He was a rear admiral from the U.S. Navy. He was the chief executive officer of Ocean STL Consulting. Wasn't he also the head of NOAA for a while, Mike?
Oh, he was.
Yeah.
He absolutely was, yep.
Next, we have Mr. Luis Elizondo, or Lou as we call him, listing him first as an author. I wonder if we're going to get a good book report out of this. Secondly, and former Department of Defense official. Wasn't he the head of ATIP, though, Mike?
They didn't mention
No, they
his
didn't.
role at ATIP.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I have to go ahead and point that out. Former Department of Defense official, not the former head of ATIP. We'll have to figure out what's up with that one. Next, we have
His role in the Pentagon was a counterintelligence agent.
Right.
That's what he did within the Pentagon. That was his official role. And they're going to reference that because, let me remind you, he is under oath at this hearing. So everything that comes out of his mouth has to be said correctly.
Oh.
So anything that goes beyond the scope of that, I think might put him in legal jeopardy.
Yeah, boy, that's something the anti-Luke crew is going to focus on.
Unfortunately, they probably will.
Yeah, I know. Let's look. Next, we have Mr. Michael Gold, of which we have a lot of videos to go ahead and bring up here to go ahead and familiar with it. He was the Chief Growth Officer of Redwire Corporation and former NASA Administration Associate Administrator. And he was, remember when we had the presentations from NASA last year that Swan got in trouble for? I think he gets in trouble for everything, but that was one of the ones, yeah. Michael Gold was actually one of the people on that hearing that
he was
took some strong words on Twitter.
Yes, he did.
Yeah. And finally, we have Mr. Michael Schellenberger, one of your associates, Mike.
Yes. He did some really great reporting in the past, and he did some good reporting on this. But if you listen to Michael, he'll tell you publicly he's not a UAP reporter. This is not his area of expertise.
No, he's not.
So
but he covers it really well, doesn't he?
He covers everything he does really well. That's why he's a good reporter.
Yeah.
But this is something a little bit outside the wheelhouse for him.
Yeah.
And now he's testifying. So that's another reason why we have, what's the term you used? Exercise caution?
Yeah.
You have to. He may not be very knowledgeable on this particular subject for a hearing of this type.
Yeah. So we've got a full roster, Mike, of people who are going to be part of this. We've got Michael Gold, we've got Schellenberger, we got LUE Elizondo, and Tim Gallaudet. So we've got 4 people to come forward. Last year, we only had 3 at the hearing. At least this year, we've got 4. So it should be hopefully no empty chairs. But then again, we could have a couple surprise witnesses. You never know.
Well, we kind of do know because this hearing has a limited time frame, and they already have 4 witnesses scheduled.
Well, they could also have a last-minute substitution, like in baseball.
They can, yeah, but I don't think they will. So moving forward, we're probably going to have a limited amount of time to speak with all 4 of these witnesses within that time frame.
Yeah.
So I don't think there's going to be any surprise witnesses at this point. There's no time allowed for it.
Yeah. All right. In our next clip, we've got, who is this Michael Gold kind of guy? He's a former NASA Associate Administrator. He worked for Boeing. Oh, that's a bad one to be associated with. And Bigelow Aerospace. Mike Gold is a witness at the hearing, and when asked, when asked about UFOs, we've got a clip here from 11 years ago. But before we get there, we have 2 more hands up, Nunia, Business, and then Laura. Susan, go ahead.
I apologize. I forgot to put my hand down.
That's okay. Laura Campbell, go ahead, my dear lady.
Yeah, it's quite interesting, the timing with the 2 hearings. So it feels like I'm watching a volleyball game where the first team's going in there and kind of going again at, yeah, this is real, this is happening, these might be some scary things that are going on. And followed by the next week or 2 weeks where Gillibrand is going to be saying, she's coming at it from that defense national security perspective, where I feel it's going to be, well, let's just, we may need some more money for these programs, and let's look at this.
Just take some more money for these programs. It sounds like you're doing Reagan there.
I digress. No, but I'm just curious, it just feels very set up. This, like they have a definite plan in motion. So we need to be watching for.
You mean the plan cover-up, in other words?
Well, yeah.
Facilitating the plan cover-up. And let's just bring this in a drip at a time, and let's pull this out another 10 years to 2036.
Not cover-up, but they're opening it up, but they're showing us just what we want to see so it benefits certain individuals. That's how it's going to go down.
Oh, you want to buy a watch?
That's my opinion. I may be wrong.
Or a used car, Thomas?
Oh, you've been dealing with used car salesmen. Enough.
I have. You're right.
Yeah.
But let me ask you this. We've talked about this on the show a lot lately, especially during Lou's book tour. If Lou was given a choice between disclosure and national security, what do you think he would choose?
National security, 100%. If it came down to humanity or reasons of national security, Lou would pick national security every time. That's what he says. He's a patriot.
All the time. Yes, he is.
Yeah.
He loves this country. He loves his government. And I believe him.
Yeah.
I believe that he holds national security in high regard and would protect it. But that, at a hearing of this type, is an interesting position to take, don't you think?
Yeah, but we all know Lou and how Lou acts and how Lou reacts to things and how Lou thinks on this stuff. That's who Lue Elizondo is at the core of his being, and we can't hold that against him because we've known this for years.
Yes, absolutely. But that's why we're bringing it up. We're not holding anything against him.
Oh, no, not at all. Not
right.
at all.
We just want the audience to be informed as for what the stakes are during this next hearing and what's in play with these witnesses. We're doing our analysis pre-hearing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, of course.
That's all this is.
Oh, yeah.
So we have hands up.
Oh, Rick Roberts and then Michael. Wow, our back panel is doing their job today, Mike.
They certainly are.
I gave them the speech. Please raise your hand and raise your hand often as we go through today's show. That's what the back panel's for. Michael Sokoloff, you have your hand up, and then Rick Roberts.
I believe Rick was before me.
Oh, you're next. You're in the top of the list, my friend.
Oh, am I? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I think that this hearing is going to be a big stepping stone to more hearings being opened up. It's kind of like watching a replay of the Washington Post thing that went on back in the 70s. And I think it's just there's going to be more questions that they want to ask. I think more congressmen are going to get involved. I think that you never know what Trump will do.
Yeah.
Maybe he'll declassify some of the files that are out there.
Maybe some of the files will come out with the Kennedy papers. You never know.
Yeah, you never know. And I think for whatever reason, one of the reasons that it might be is just to basically show the administration and the deep state who's boss.
Yeah, you never know where it's going to go, my friend. You never know where it's going to go. Uh-oh, we've got a message coming in from higher above. Michael, we got a hearing now. We could have another hearing maybe as soon as February of next year. You never know.
Well, actually, we do know because in one of his recent appearances, Lou had stated publicly that there is an upcoming hearing in February of 2025.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that was amazing coming out from him publicly.
When did that come out publicly? I didn't hear that came out publicly yet, Mike. I heard there was some backroom conversations that went on.
Oh, that we're well aware of. No, but I'm saying that he publicly made that announcement in one of his recent speaking engagements. So that's out there already from him.
Yeah, exactly. Anonymous or Tim Senor asks, why isn't Chris Mellon gonna testify? Well, he's got a long planned vacation with his wife. Hopefully going somewhere nice and warm and sunny. He could use the sun.
A happy wife, happy life.
That's because Mike,
Mellon
what it's happened when the wife isn't happy.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Or the husband, for that matter. Yeah. Oh, boy.
All of us married people are well aware.
Oh, yeah. Turn it up to a freaking 20, not 11.
Yeah.
Moose, it's over here.
We have Rick next.
Rick Roberts, go ahead.
I was just going to say, some people that I'd like to see come into the current hearing would be Carl Nell. Carl Nell's given some great information, but his are like pre-written speeches. So I'd love to see some directed questions to Carl Nell. Lukatsky supposedly says he's been in the craft, so I think he needs to be there, right? He's a hands-on person.
Yeah.
Eric Davis.
You need to point your camera a little bit lower because we're only getting the bunny. There you go. Only getting the bunny ears. You can't see your face.
Eric Davis.
There you go.
Eric Davis would be nice to see there. And then there was one more person. I can't remember who now. Yeah, but I'd like to see at least like one of those crazy wild cards there under oath, talking about what they know.
Yeah. It'd be
And
wonderful
no
to get.
Michael Herrera.
It'd be
No
wonderful
Michael
to
Herrera.
get some real first-hand whistleblowers, because remember Rick Doty talked about Carl Nell in the past, said he was the head of AFRICOM when they actually had a UAP retrieval out of, was it Sudan, Mike?
Yes, in Africa, the Sudan. There was a special forces team, which we are well aware of, conducts the actual crash retrievals anywhere around the world on behalf of the CIA's Office of Global Access. And Colonel Carl Nell was in charge in the Africa Command when this unit went into the Sudan and did a recovery.
Yeah.
He was involved.
You know, King Bull brings up a good question. Where in the hell are the 40 whistleblowers, including the ones who would be a, what do you call, non-compliant witness? A
hostile witness.
Hostile witness. Where are all those people that they were going to bring forward that they talked about?
That's a very good question. I wish that we had an answer for that.
Oh, Susan, what do you think?
Well, if we could get some proper protection laws put past, then, you know, that would be great. And I'm sure we'll get them. But until we can protect them, I can't see them coming out. I wouldn't come out. Sorry, I wouldn't. Not without, you know, like proper witness protection, you know, proper whistleblower protection, you know, for me.
You're not going to come out because you like Trump. It's not like you're a Kamala supporter, so you would be in the closet on that.
Yeah, you got to have that dig, don't you?
Oh
no, but
we're cut
seriously,
from the girl. We're cut from the same cloth. You like red plaid like I do.
We're asking people to put their livelihoods on the line. They're asking people to put their freedom on the line. That's a big ask without giving them something in return. We need to protect them. If we don't have anything in place to protect them, they're not coming forward.
No. Yeah. In case what people are wondering about what is the husky, it's green from this side, so you don't see it. From this side, it's brown. He has liver treats. So yeah, I understand where you're coming from, Susan. It's a catch-22 situation. Brian, your thoughts?
Yeah, I would just be curious what anybody else would think. If you're just going to take an optimist point of view, I understand doing the other side too, but let's just pretend that this is going to be a great hearing. I would imagine that aside from any type of documents that have been released to them already, that either LUE, Gallaudet, Mike Gold have gone through another DOPSA process that we don't know about, and that they're cleared to release more info. So I'm laying out a little bit of hope there. That would be nice. That would make these hearings much more interesting.
Yeah, I would think
well,
so.
None of them, Brian, can speak publicly without a DOPSA clearance in place before the hearing first, Brian. So anything that we're going to hear them talk about was already cleared before we're going to hear it at this hearing. No one is going rogue.
Correct. And I guess that's kind of what I'm wondering. You could have gotten DOPSA clearance and not necessarily released a book or told anybody about it yet, perhaps saved it for a hearing. Like I said, I'm just trying to take an optimist point of view.
And that's what I'm trying to say, too, with regards to whatever Lou's going to bring forward. Hopefully it's going to be more than just a report on his book to talk about some more stuff, because otherwise it's just rehashing of everything that's been said for the last several months.
Exactly right, Thomas. And I don't mean to interrupt, but Lou was once asked if he's going to write a second book, and he hemmed and hawed for a minute. I thought, well, geez, is there something else in the works there? Anyways, that's all I wanted to jump in.
That's okay, my friend. Absolutely. Nick, you have your hand up, and then Michael. All right, Nick.
Yeah, yes.
Okay. Let's come back to you when you're ready. Michael, go ahead.
Yeah, isn't it important for whether we've heard it again or not, important for it to be written into the hearing record?
What do you think, Mike?
That what was that, Michael? That if they're going to have it in the hearing record, what the report?
Well, if even if we've heard a lot of this stuff before, is it not important for it to be written into the record?
Well, yeah, because then it's a permanent record of whenever allegations are made at the hearing.
Kind of like what they did with the Wilson Davis memo, right?
Right, that's right.
And they could actually
exactly.
enter Lue's book into the congressional record.
Yeah, that's right.
But then again, a PDF of that book would then have to be made freely available for everybody. So not sure they quite want to do that.
Well, anything that's entered into the public record officially can be FOIA'd and accessed by the public. That's one of the other benefits of this type of testimony or documents that are entered into evidence.
Yep.
Once it's there, it's a permanent record of it.
Don't they
That's
charge
accessible
for
by
how much
all.
paper they send you, Mike?
Say that again, Michael?
Don't they charge you for if they send you a bunch of
Yes,
paper?
yes,
They
for
charge you
everything.
it.
Yes, yeah, of course they do. That's how they make their money. Not just off us taxpayers, but they have paying customers as well for FOIA requests. It's a business.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Unfortunately.
But getting back to the point that Brian had just made about DOPSA clearance, the one person that does not directly apply to at this point is Michael Schellenberger. He's not a member of the government. He wasn't read in. He has no classifications. He does not need to have a DOPSA clearance to testify at this hearing, which makes that interesting as far as what may or may not come out of his mouth. And as far as Lue is concerned, we already know that the DOPSA clearance is not quick and that Lue already had gone through it, DOPSA clearance for his book release. And when people had asked him about certain things that he spoke about at these questions and answers sessions that he does, the one point that he kept bringing up was that he can only go as far as to speak about the things that he already received the DOPSA clearance to talk about.
But you have to look back, though, Mike. I have to interject on this one. In the past, Lue was able to liberally talk about a lot of things, and it seems that this time when he's coming around, and he's always referring to the DOPSA clearance from his book, he's actually saying less things today than what he said a couple years ago and longer ago. Let's be realistic about it.
No, you're absolutely right about that. But my point was about Lue, the hearing, and his testimony, and what lines may or may not be in place. And I don't believe that he had filed a second DOPSA clearance request for his testimony at the hearing. And the reason I say that is because you and I are well aware that up until recently, Lue was not confirmed to be testifying at this hearing on November 13th. That's only something that was decided and confirmed and finalized recently. So if that's true, and you and I both know that it is, that tells me that when Lue does in fact testify, he is going to specifically be limited by what his current DOPSA clearance allows him to speak about. And the only way that would change is if he filed some second DOPSA clearance that we know nothing about a year ago and had that all cleared already. But I don't think that's the case. That's why I bring it up. It was a good point that Brian made.
Yeah. I've got you, my friend. I've got you on that one. All right. Freezer Man, then Nick, and then Brian. Freezer Man, go ahead.
I was wondering if at this hearing, they may at all, any new information may come out over the UAPs that were over the Air Force Base in Langley. And then the other thing I was thinking is, I wonder if Richard Dolan would ever be brought to testify before Congress.
Oh, I don't see Dolan ever testifying in front of Congress, honestly.
Not realistic.
No, not even close to being realistic. Let's move on. Nick, are you there, my friend?
Yes.
Say something.
If Republicans don't take back the Congress, actually, or if it's a slim Congress, do you think that we can have more disclosure or more hearings if that happens? If they don't, like, if they only have a slim majority, or if they don't have a Congress, Thomas?
Well, we've got a hearing coming up now. We've got another one potentially coming in February. We have another hearing that's potentially coming from the Senate, where we're going to have Kirsten Gillibrand and potentially others going and talking about. So there are more hearings that are coming our way, Nick. We just have to see who they're going to have, who they're going to bring forward, and what they're going to do is the goal to actually move the conversation forward. Yes, okay, I agree.
He wouldn't.
Brian actually is next. Brian, go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, I want to bring up an odd scenario, and I know we're all speculating about what's going to happen and everything, but I'd be curious to get Thomas or Mike's take on this. What if Schellenberger's there? Not only one because he's experienced in going in front of congressional committees, but what if
files? Yeah,
correct. Yeah. So what if, by chance, that the reason that this list was released today was because of the election results, and that they've got an agreement, or at least something, a tacit, verbally, who knows what, with the White House saying, go ahead and be an Edward Snowden. Go ahead and be a Julian Assange. Go ahead and release the stuff that you know in this hearing, and we will back you up when we get into office.
No, Thomas and I are well aware of why they released the witness report today, which has nothing to do with the points that you mentioned. So it's some inside baseball stuff that we're not going to talk about publicly, but it's amusing, but it has nothing to do with the points that you just made, Brian.
Oh, you're killing me, Mike, keeping us all out of the loop here. But
it'll have to wait to the back chat then, Brian.
Yeah.
Can't speak about it publicly.
Laura, go ahead, my friend.
Yes, I think a lot of meetings are taking place behind closed doors. Other people, when you said Dolan wasn't going to testify, I agree with that. However, he did tell us that there was a meeting, and he's not saying who it was with. He can't discuss it, but it was more of he had to do a presentation, kind of a, teaching, because of his vast knowledge and his research with books.
The only problem I have with Dolan, really quick, Laura, is that when we had the first UAPTF hearing, Dolan came out and he put out a document and showed these were the talking points of all the things that were covered in the classified hearing with Congress after the first UAPTF hearing actually finished. Meaning there was going to be a classified briefing after the hearing. And it turned out the information that Dolan went and brought forward was completely fabricated. So sometimes he can bring stuff forward. However, a lot of times the stuff he will bring things forward are on total speculation from sources that would be below where Mike and I would even go for.
Gotcha.
Yes. I respect Dolan of everything that he's done, what he's done for the community and everything. But just because he brings something forward, he does have an existing reputation of bringing forward stuff that... I'm sorry, Mocha, come here. Yes, Mocha is upset that I'm talking about Dolan, sadly, but yes. Mike, go ahead. I guess not. All right.
Sarah. Yeah, okay. You just joined us.
All right, Sarah just joined. Now, I do want to go ahead and bring this up. I do have a video clip here. Oh, I don't want to show that. That's a fact. Oh,
no, Mike Gold, you said we have clips.
Right? I've got stuff here coming in. No, I know. I'm just... Mocha, stop it. Stop it now. I'm trying to find the right place that I would... Yes, I hear you, Mocha. Wonderful. Let's go ahead. We want to... I've got some video clips here of Mike Gold. First one I have here is Mike Gold. When asked about UFOs 11 years ago. Let's go ahead and listen to this video clip of Mike Gold 11 years ago to go ahead and talk about what he thinks about UFOs. Let's get into this. Let me get to this desktop document. All right, move this across a little bit. Mocha, stop it, girl. Stop being, they used to say to Cupcake, stop being a bitch. She is a female dog, I can say that. Here we go.
Can I ask you, what is the Bigelow Aerospace Advanced Space Studies?
That's a separate division of Bigelow Aerospace, but I'm not a part of that, so can't really talk about BASS.
Speaking of the FAA, actually, in the FAA manual, it says something about UFOs. So can I ask you about that?
Well, let me say that I personally find the subject matter very interesting. I think, particularly if you look at the work of Kepler and the number of exoplanets we're discovering, and the number of Earth-like exoplanets. As a matter of fact, I missed the hearing, but I should keep looking at Brian here. We may have data on Earth-like planets already, so I think the galaxy is most likely teeming with life. As a matter of fact, that's what science is teaching us. So,
can I just ask you real quick? I'm sorry to interrupt. Can I just ask you? So the FAA refers reports to Bigelow. What do you guys do with those reports?
Again, I'm not a part of that division, so
you don't know what they do with UFO reports.
I can't comment what they do. But I'm glad someone's taking them. I can say, because these are important issues that deserve serious attention, particularly from an airspace issue.
So there he is talking about UFOs. Keeps on getting asked about Bigelow. No, I'm not part of that part of Bigelow Aerospace. I'd love to hear Rick's thought on this, because Rick was a part of Bigelow he was a part of, he actually worked with Hal Puthoff, not Bigelow. So interesting to see all around. Next, let me get to this next one, Mike. Go ahead. Someone was saying something?
No, Freezer Man 71 said something. Do you have something to say, Freezer Man?
No.
Go ahead.
Sure. All right. Next clip we've got coming up is coming from Michael Gold. Remember when we had that hearing about a little over a year ago from NASA?
Yeah.
The one the Swan got in so much trouble from?
Yes, that's the one.
And they actually brought out people saying people were going and harassing people from the panel, so on.
Yes. I remember it very well.
Oh, yeah. Let's get to this next one. Here we go. Let's play. This is from the NASA hearing, but we're going to hear Mike Gold talking about this again. Let's get into this again. This is a 13-minute clip from that hearing. Let's play it. Here we go.
So, Sean, I just wanted to begin by thanking you for your service to this nation, this committee. You don't exactly have the easiest job in Washington.
No, I do not.
Appreciate it.
I'm glad you recognize that.
Yes, we certainly do. I also want to commend you noting the international partnerships. Spain just signed the Artemis Accords yesterday, increasing the membership to 25. I think that's a global partnership that you could leverage. Only 170 more countries to go, NASA, before we have everyone signed up. I just have two questions. One, relative to what Nadia was asking you about the number of anomalous phenomena. What makes it anomalous in your view? What is the phenomenology where you're pulling those cases out and saying this is truly unexplained? And then my second question would be relative to the stigma. How damaging is that in your view? And what in particular do you think NASA can do to help remedy the situation?
Those are great questions. I'm going to take the second one first because I know we're getting short on time. The stigma has improved significantly over the years since the Navy first took this on some years ago. It is not gone, and in fact, I would argue the stigma exists inside the leadership of all of our buildings.
And right here, I would say, let's be honest, this man is someone who has been perpetuating the stigma. Would you agree on that, Mike?
Oh, God, I think everybody would. He has been single-handedly putting the genie back in the bottle after Grush testified last year.
Yeah. And what is your comment about his suit again?
Oh, my God. Yeah, he's wearing a John Gotti suit. He goes out of his way to look like he is wearing something a lot more expensive than his current paycheck would allow.
Yeah.
What did you say, Thomas? It's a tailored off the suit rack. That's how you described it?
It's not even tailored. It's an off-the-suit rack from Men's Warehouse.
And it's a bit too tight, isn't it?
In the wrong places, yes. It definitely has not been tailored. It has not been tailored in the right way.
Not at all.
Yeah. Well, the Mackie got a M4 Pro Mini at the Apple Store with 24 gigs of RAM and 512 gigabytes of storage. I'm going to be waiting for the new Mac Studio. I need some more horsepower than the Mini can deliver. Let's continue on. Here we go.
Right, wherever that is. My team and I have also been subject to lots of harassment, especially coming out of my last hearing.
From Swan.
Because people don't understand the scientific method and why we have to do the things we have to do, right? And because we can't just come out and say, you know, the greatest thing that could happen to me is I could come out and say, hey, I know where all these things are. Here you go.
Actually, the best thing that happened to him, he could say, is he got laid, Mike.
Oh, let's leave Susan Goff out of this, please.
Oh, my God.
Right, but I don't, right? And it's going to take us time to research all that. People want answers now, and so they're actually feeding the stigma by exhibiting that kind of behavior to all of us, right? That is a bad thing. Where can NASA help? I made that recommendation on NASA should lead the scientific discourse. We need to elevate this conversation. Right? We need to have this conversation in an open environment like this where we aren't going to get harassed. Because this is a hard problem. It is a hard target problem. We need to understand what is the things that are in all of our domains, space or air or undersea, and how do we make sense of that? Right. Your first question on what makes it anomalous to me, we actually developed some definitions on all of these things. We gave it both to the White House and to Congress. I think we've got some of that into law now, but essentially anomalous is anything that is not readily understandable by the operator or the sensor. Right, so it is doing something weird, whether that's maneuvering against the wind at Mach 2 with no apparent propulsion, or it's going into the water, which we have shown is not the case. That is actually a sensor anomaly that we've now figured out, and we're going to be publishing all of that. You know, those kinds of things make anomalous. Signature, we'll call it signature management, but it's things that are not readily understandable in the context of, hey, I've got a thing that's out in the light. It should reflect a certain amount of light. If it doesn't,
some of the things that he's looked at, Mike, getting into this, he's actually tried to say, look at this, it's reflecting light, but stuff like we had to go fast was actually recorded at night. So he's bringing up stuff where he's talking about reflections, where reflections don't really apply, do they, Mike?
Oh, absolutely not, they don't. But we already know that every point that he's made to try to cover this up, which he's done a great job. You got to give the devil his due. We know that the claims that he's making are false. Look, you and I talked about very early on in regards to Avi Loeb and Sean Kirkpatrick. They wrote a paper together, and you completely destroyed that paper of them claiming, well, Avi Loeb claimed writing with Kirkpatrick that UAP craft can't possibly move within Earth's atmosphere at those speeds because of why, Thomas? Do you remember?
Oh, because they would go ahead and burst into fireballs. Oh, you means you're looking at this from a constrained view of these stupid physics of what these stupid hairless monkeys are coming up with? And exactly. That's right. Nothing can be better than what we can understand today.
Right, because if we can't understand it, then it's not real, right?
No. He came up with the same thing, well, even worse when he was talking about the stuff. He went and wrote the paper. So Sean Kirkpatrick. So there was a phenomenal paper that came out from the the National Academy of Sciences from the Astronomy Division coming out of Ukraine, talking about UAPs that they've been seeing since 2018 or earlier and recording them. They had something called phantoms, which are black ones, dark, that don't reflect anything light, that Kirkpatrick went and debated. He debated everything from them, and something called, it was phantoms, the dark ones, and cosmics, really bright ones, and they're basically everywhere in our atmosphere. You can't go anywhere without seeing these things. Then the day that report came out, Sean Kirkpatrick, and he was done in his office, got in his car, drove 3.5 hours, 3.5 fucking hours, to get up to where Avi Loeb lived, to arrive on his doorstep, unannounced, supposedly, to ring his doorbell, to get Avi Loeb to write a rebuttal that came from actually Avi Loeb and Sean Kirkpatrick to push back on the truth. From that point forward, when I saw that happen, you would know that Avi Loeb is bought and paid for, and he is a disinformation agent under the thumb of our deep state. Would you agree to that, Mike?
Oh, absolutely, because we've been doing nothing but calling him out with his actions and what he's been doing to the community with Dr. Avi Loeb the whole time.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
So everything that you just explained was a recap.
I have a bottle here of Avi Loeb on my desk, and I can't find it right now, damn it.
No, that's okay. Maybe Sean Diddler Combs took it.
Sean Diddler Holmes.
You never know.
Oh, my God. You never do know where it's going to go.
Yeah. But this is an ongoing thing with the disinformation and Kirkpatrick, which is why we are unfortunately where we're at with this upcoming hearing right now.
All right, I got a little bit more here from Mike Gold coming back from this one. Let's see what he has to say a little bit more. Back to Shawnee.
Pilot, where do I find that process for reporting UAPs? Where is that articulated or captured? Second, when you mentioned that you're reporting these incidents, who are you reporting it to? And are those incidents, pulling on the thread that Reggie started, are they being archived anywhere?
I believe they are archived. They're reported to the domestic network, event network. It's an NFA organization or function. I can't speak to whether they would be, say, part of what Sean would include as part of his database. I presume so. So I think that was the answer to the second question. What was the first question again? I'm sorry.
Where does the reporting process live? If I'm a pilot, I see a UAP, where do I go to find out?
That I don't know the answer to that question. I said I'm familiar with the reporting process from.
The reporting process right now is if you see something, a UFO, and you are a pilot, you're supposed to report it to the local police, aren't you, Mike?
Yes. Any type of local events are reported to the local police to file a report. It's standard operating procedure, Thomas.
In other words, don't show us. We don't want to hear about it. Don't talk about it. Talk to the police. They'll deal with it for you.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
But, Sarah Gam, who came out on the Good Trouble show as a former UAP task force
But isn't
member,
she also a psychic, and she can connect you with your dead relatives for $150 an hour?
She can, but that wasn't my point. My point was about Sean Kirkpatrick and the formation of Arrow. She reached out to Arrow as it was being stood up and a newly formed organization, and offered to provide all of the information that the task force had gathered to give them a head start. And at that point, under Sean Kirkpatrick's orders, the Arrow organization refused any type of information coming from the task force. Didn't want it, didn't want to see it, didn't want to know about it. They said they were going to do their own research and didn't want to hear anything that the task force uncovered. That is a bad sign for a newly formed organization that's tasked with investigation, is it not?
But Mike, they've not only been tasked with this, they are reporting to the people who have been orchestrating the cover-up. Let's be honest.
Exactly.
So can we really trust them? I don't think so.
If they are an organization operated directly under the Pentagon, No, we can't. The only way that it could possibly have a chance is if it was an independent, stood-up organization with the authority and the funds to properly investigate this. But that's not the route they went, which is why we've been dealing with what we've been getting out of Arrow the whole time. It's unfortunate.
Yeah.
And this upcoming hearing, part of the agenda, actually, believe it or not, includes talking about Arrow. I have no idea why that's on the agenda. I don't think it should be, but if that's what they want to do, at that point, I believe all they're doing is really wasting our time. Arrow has nothing to offer to this conversation. Not then, not now.
No.
And I don't think at this hearing.
Arrow is part of the, if you want to call it the organization that's perpetuating the cover-up. They're part of the DOD. They're part of the Undersecretary of Defense for intelligence. They're part of the people who, they report to people within the DOD organization that have been working to keep everything shut down. They work in concert with Susan Goff to go ahead and prevent any additional information from any part of the from any other part of the government from coming forward.
Yeah, Arrow has been operating as a flypaper operation the whole time. Anytime a whistleblower or a witness comes forward to testify, they take their testimony, they lock it up under an investigation process, and they keep it from being FOIA'd. So basically all they're doing is collecting and
hold on a
burying
second,
that
Mike. You're
information.
missing a very important part. They also re-up the NDAs that any of these
They do.
whistleblowers
They update
are
them.
under.
Correct.
And they put them under
Right.
stronger NDAs, right?
That's right. That's exactly what.
So in other
Arrow has been
words,
doing.
coming out to Arrow is actually putting you deeper in the closet.
It is. It's burying all the information down deeper and locking it up tight, which is what they've been very successful at. So until they get rid of this organization and come up with something similar to what they had with the UAP task force or an independent organization that'll be properly funded, that's the only way to move forward. Now, the real answer, and we've talked about this on the show as well many times, is going to be, if you want the answer to come and be provided by the government, you would have to have a permanent select UAP committee in Congress, properly funded, have legal authority to issue subpoenas, and staff to do proper investigation to really look into this.
They have now, members of the House have asked Mike Johnson on this, and he was unwilling to support that for the UAP caucus, as far as I remember, correct?
No, that's absolutely correct.
Yes.
That was one of the
So that
problems.
was requested a while ago when, after they kicked out the prior leader of the House and they got our new one in, that was part of the question, and that's what they were given. But what we truly need, well, we're not going to get that potentially from Congress. Potentially, the number one asked question that Trump was asked more than anything from place to place to place, and I think Brian can answer on this one, was with regards to whether or not he's going to support bringing out information on the non-human intelligence or ETs or UFOs. Is that correct, Brian? That's something that was put out there many times, and something actually Trump talked about.
Yeah, and he actually released I think it was a 3.5-minute statement, not releasing a lot of this stuff and basically dismantling the intelligence community. And that has also led a lot of his supporters and those that are around him to say, look, you need increased security. So, he was referring to the JFK file specifically, but could he have been referring to also the UFO files and some of this other stuff? And so I think that's going to be fascinating to find out what's going to happen. But I think there is a legitimate security risk leading up to Election Day. And I think from what I've been hearing in there is that he's going to kind of hole up in Mar-a-Lago for a little bit, just to make sure he can make it to Inauguration Day.
Yeah.
Well, I can tell you this, Brian. he made an announcement after he was elected. And part of his restructuring plan includes taking the Inspector General's offices that are like for the IG for the DOD or the IG for the IC. And what he said was he is going to separate that office, the Inspector General office, from being directly connected to any of these other agencies that they're supposed to oversee. And by doing that, he's going to be making the actual Inspector General's office for, let's say, the Department of Defense, independent from the Department of Defense.
Wait, Mike,
and the IC.
The ICIG is supposed to be independent? That's just crazy.
No, Trump is going to be now restructuring everything and making the Inspector General offices that are overseeing these agencies and make them completely independent from these agencies. So there won't be leaks like they have been in the DOD IG when LUE Elizondo came forward. That went right back to the Pentagon.
I do have a statement from Trump on this. I can go ahead and play here, Mike.
Absolutely, Thomas.
I had it here. Well,
and the reason I brought it up is because when I heard him say that, I actually believe that I felt that the reason he wants to separate these IG offices is more to do with disclosure than it is anything else. That's what it seemed like to me.
So let me go see if I've got this one clipped here. Twitter is...
It's a good statement.
The deep state. Is that the one I sent you, right?
Maybe.
I think so. Let's get to this one here. Let's get to document. Let's go ahead and play this one. I know some people may be triggered by this, but think about this in the global part of disclosure. Let's get into this little clip here we're going to play.
Here's my plan to dismantle the deep state.
Okay, Mike, here, let's play this here right now. Make sure it's loud enough. Here we go.
Here's my plan to dismantle the deep state and reclaim our...
Great.
Yeah, this is it.
My audio just fucking died on this one. Let me get into this one here.
I heard.
It was there a second ago. Let me get into Brave. Get into here.
There needs to be a Trump game like Clue, where it's going to be like who killed Trump or how they killed Trump.
Yeah, here we go, guys. Let's get into this.
Did reclaim our...
I think I've got this now. It should come across. If not,
democracy.
We got it. Okay, we've got it for everybody. Here we go.
Here's my plan to dismantle the deep state and reclaim our democracy from Washington corruption once and for all.
And remember, the deep state, those are the ones who have been hiding the truth on disclosure for the longest time. Let's continue.
They're the gatekeepers.
Yeah.
Corruption it is. First, I will immediately reissue my 2020 executive order restoring the president's authority to remove rogue bureaucrats, and I will wield that power very aggressively. Second, we will clean out all of the corrupt actors in our national security and intelligence apparatus, and there are plenty of them. The departments and agencies that have been weaponized will be completely overhauled so that faceless bureaucrats will never again be able to target and persecute conservatives, Christians, or the left's political enemies, which they're doing now at a level that nobody can believe even possible. Third, we will totally reform FISA courts, which are so corrupt that the judges seemingly do not care when they are lied to in warrant applications. So many judges have seen so many applications that they know were wrong, or at least they must have known. They do nothing about it. They're lied to. Fourth, to expose the hoaxes and abuses of power that have been tearing our country apart, we will establish a Truth and Reconciliation Commission to declassify and publish all documents on deep state spying, censorship, and corruption.
And that includes in the UFO arena, my friends.
There are plenty of them. Fifth, we will launch a major crackdown on government leakers who collude with the fake news to deliberately weave false narratives and to subvert our government and our democracy. When possible, we will press criminal charges. Sixth, we will make every Inspector General's office independent and physically separated from the departments they oversee so they do not become the protectors of the deep state.
Now, this is especially important because remember, when when David Grush brought his claims forward first, he got freaking hit by the DOD and people breaking into his house and leaving death threats on his kitchen table. That's when he went to the Inspector General's office for
a complaint.
The DOD. Trump wants to separate the IG's office from these organizations to make them independent and not the guard dogs, as he was just saying. It's a very important step.
It's powerful, and it's good for disclosure.
Give it a chance. That's all I have to say.
Seventh, I will ask Congress to establish an independent auditing system to continually monitor our intelligence agencies to ensure they are not spying on our citizens or running disinformation campaigns against the American people, or that they are not spying on someone's campaign like they spied on my campaign.
Again, something that's been prevalent in what's been going on in the cover-up on UFOs. Granted, he's talking about stuff from his campaign and other stuff, but this directly relates to all the shit that's been going on in the cover-up and bringing out the truth. Paul, keep it up and I'll block you.
Has been saying.
Yes.
In 2013 when he came out.
Running disinformation campaigns against the American people.
And that's exactly what they've been doing, is disinformation about UFOs. So maybe we can get there, Paul Damon. I know you don't like him, but just take a step back from Rachel Maddow and the crazy media and just listen to what he's saying and cross your fingers. Hopefully, this is what we're going to get, because this is what he promised.
Spying on someone's campaign like they spied on my campaign. Eighth, we will continue the effort launched by the Trump administration to move parts of the sprawling federal bureaucracy to new locations outside the Washington swamp. Just as I moved the Bureau of Land Management to Colorado, as many as 100,000 government positions could be moved out, and I mean immediately, of Washington to places filled with patriots who love America, and they really do love America. Ninth, I will work to ban federal bureaucrats from taking jobs at the companies they deal with and that they regulate. So,
Mike, this is huge. This would ban people like Jay Stratton, who used to work for the UAPTF, for going and working with an external company.
Industrial contractors.
Yeah.
This would stop Mike Turner from being the gatekeeper for the military-industrial complex like Lockheed Martin.
Bingo.
This would come for disclosure and do something that all the previous Democratic administrations failed to do. If anything, a lot of what he's talking about, the previous administrations of the opposite party reinforced a lot of the spying that takes place on behalf of the government. They didn't release it or remove it like he's talking about. So, listen, disclosure is supposed to be bipartisan. It is not one side of the aisle or the other. It's not a political thing.
Bingo. But we've got someone who's willing to come up against the deep state. More importantly, call them out before they were even elected. To say, this is what we're going to do to go against you.
And take them apart and prevent them from continuing and operating to keep everything a secret like they've been doing for almost 80 years.
I mean, is there anybody who's watching this show that's not fed up with the disinformation campaign that's going against UFOs and bringing out the truth? Paul Damon, maybe. But, let's take a look at this and understand that. Give it a chance. I think this is what we all want. Yes, make aliens great again. 100%. That's what I've been saying for the longest time. Another word for MAGA.
Right. But as Lou has pointed out in the past, and we've also pointed out, this is supposed to be a bipartisan effort for the truth about we're not alone on this earth.
Yeah.
And everything has been in place on behalf of the government side to prevent that from coming out. What he's talking about, regardless if you love him or you hate him, has to do with finally making that a reality and making that happen.
And if you support Lou, note that Lou probably votes red. Just saying. when he was going to potentially run for an office for Congress, he was going to run on Team Red, not Team Blue. Just saying. Did I say that? I did.
But it doesn't matter what side of the aisle people personally
because
fall on.
disclosure is non-party, it's non-denominational, it's non-party specific, it's bipartisan, 100%.
Right.
Good night, Kelly. I think she reached her
exactly
limit.
Right.
They deal with these companies and they regulate these companies, and then they want to take jobs from these companies. Doesn't work that way. Such a public display cannot go on, and it's taking place all the time, like with Big Pharma. Finally, I will push a constitutional amendment to impose term limits on members of Congress. This is how I will shatter the deep state and restore government that is controlled by the
members
people.
And keepers on Congress, go ahead and do it. This is something, Mike, you brought up. I had bookmarked because it really does align with disclosure on so many different parts, because we've talked about the deep state before, how much they've gone and prevented disclosure from coming forward. And at least we have someone who's coming into the presidency. The number one question that he's been asked time and time again was about bringing out the truth on disclosure.
Right, and when he made a point about imposing term limits on congressional members, like who? Mike Turner from Ohio, who's been in that office and that position for eternity, it seems like.
I would say Mike Turner is a rhino.
Yeah, but he's
Republican
talking about
in name only.
Removing people like that once and for all. That
Kick him
has
out
to
of
do with
office.
Disclosure.
And that's where term
Preventing
limits
from
can
running.
come in. Oh, I'm sorry, you've already been here for several terms. You're done. Get the hell
That's
out
right.
of here.
That's right.
And that's what we need. And that's what our founders of this country were about. It wasn't people like coming in and giving a lifetime career like Nancy Pelosi to come in and hold the office for all these years. It's about come in, make a difference in Washington, and go back to your lives. That's what our founders wanted for our representatives in D.C., not the swamp that it's turned into.
And he also mentioned about D.C. and separating a lot of these agencies and getting them the hell out of there and putting them in other parts of the country. I think that's another good idea that should have been done a long time ago, and nobody did it.
Brian, you have your hand up, my friend. A lot of applause coming from you as well.
No, I think you guys are hitting the nail on the head 100% here. The fact that he's not running anymore, that's already won, and he's coming out and making this speech. This is what I'm going to do.
No, this speech was from 6 months ago, at least.
No. I think this was yesterday.
No, this is recent. Yeah, this is the other day, Thomas.
Yeah.
No, it came out on Twitter as a rehash. I did the research. This is from 6+ months ago, if not longer.
Well, I saw it the other day, like Brian did.
Yeah,
I thought
it popped up on Twitter and
elected.
everyone reposted it. That's why we're playing it. However, this came out a while ago.
Yeah, so that would be news to me. Either way,
if he sticks to it, Brian, either way, we're in good shape.
Yeah,
it's a good
exactly
plan.
right. And so what happens is, really, who gives a crud who gets elected? Now that he's elected, you need to push him to fulfill these promises, and that's going to be the main thing. And if he surrounds himself with Tom Bolton and Mike Pompeo and all these other guys, that's not going to be good for disclosure. Okay, so
Mike Pompeo, the former Secretary of State, and he used to be head of the CIA, was the one who told Trump, no, you shouldn't go ahead and bring out the truth about the Kennedy files. And actually, when we got Biden said, no, we're going to lock this up forever. We're never going to release this. But now we're actually going to get the truth. And we're going to find out potentially that our spy agencies in the United States government killed one of our presidents.
Yeah, and so and so I think that's why it was his point number 1 and 2. He's going to dismantle the deep state and take apart the intelligence agencies. And then you and Mike hit on this perfectly. Look, everything's so centralized in D.C. It needs to be decentralized. That's the way the founders wanted things. Just like you guys said, it needs to be decentralized. And so the more you decentralize government, the better off you are. And so I really hope that everything falls through on that, because that will portend good things for disclosure, 100%. And just knowing some of the people in Trump's orbit, not knowing personally, but how they work. Well, maybe one or two of them personally, but that this is a topic on their mind. It's just not overtly talked about. And so this is slightly what they're alluding to too. It's not only Trump's personal vendettas, it's not only, the spying on Americans and everything else since the Patriot Act and all that stuff. It's also these topics. So, yep.
Yeah.
Andy has his hand up, Thomas.
Andy, go ahead, my friend. Our UK friend. Go ahead.
Yeah.
And by the way, if you're in the northern United States, the aurora is cranking right now. Go outside and look up. If it's not freaking Truth Seeker, get outside and look up. You can see the aurora. It's kicking ass right now. Andy, go ahead.
Yeah. Do you think some of this this where he's going to start draining the swamp is payback for the last few years of things that have happened?
Oh, I think it's just part of the agenda. Last time he came in, he was unseasoned, didn't realize what it was going to be the president. He made a lot of mistakes in his cabinet and the transition coming in. He's understand what he needs to get to. He knows he's got 2 years to get stuff done, but before potentially Democrats can take back the House and the Senate. In those 2 years, that's where the next 2 years are going to be the difference to make something happen and something happen big.
Also, as well, then if there's 2 years till, I guess, more elections for the House and Senate, can, looking 2 years in advance, could everything that he puts in place be undone?
Well, not really, because he can put everything in place up for the next 2 years and get the House and the Senate if everything gets aligned. Right now, they've got the Senate. They don't have the House. They're only a few votes away from getting a few positions away from getting the House. And if they get that, they can get a lot of stuff in there, and Trump can sign it into law. Now, if they lose the House and they maintain the Senate or one of the two, 8 of the 2 parts of the legislative branch, it's going to put things off kilter, and it's going to prevent new stuff from going forward. So hopefully at this point of time, they're going to have a chance, at least for the next 2 years, to get a lot of stuff done. Now, the biggest thing that was holding back getting stuff done last time was that Mitch McConnell was the head of the Senate, and he was like, well, that's not how we do things here in the Senate. Things take time, and a lot of the stuff that Trump wanted to get done was put on the back burner because Mitch McConnell. Now, Mitch McConnell, the turtle, as he's known, who's been freezing up on stage, not being able to talk, is now taking a back seat, and someone else is going to be coming up into that head of the leadership in the Senate now that the Republicans have the majority. And whoever comes in, if they are someone who works along with Trump, it's going to allow a lot more people to be put into particular positions over agencies, and more judges to be appointed. And it's also, if they get the House, is going to be able to have laws passed in the House, come to the Senate, and then they're going to be able to take it to the president and get it signed. Does that make sense, Andy?
Yeah, great. Yeah. Just from somebody from a UK's perspective, slightly different in how your government's run than ours. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Here we have the legislative, like the House of Commons, and we have the executive. No, we have in the legislative, we have the House and we have the Senate, then we have the legislative, and then we have the Supreme Court, which is, well, that'll be interesting.
Judicial.
Yeah.
That's
have you heard,
judicial.
Mike, that they're actually throwing out there to go ahead and get Sotomayor to go ahead and resign and appoint Harris as a Supreme Court judge?
Yeah. Yeah. I wouldn't hold my breath for that.
No, neither would I. But hey, I'm bringing it out anyway, as I call that a scorched earth approach, my friend. Brian, go ahead.
Yeah, Thomas, great physics lesson. That's 100% correct. It looks like the House is going to go the Republicans' way, which will pretty much give Trump a mandate, which he already has. Now, it's going to be interesting to see if the Republicans threaten or do try to remove the filibuster rule, which will pretty much give them carte blanche to pass any legislation they want. That I think will be fascinating to see. That would actually probably help disclosure and help what most everybody here is trying to achieve.
I would hope so. And it just comes down to, again, disclosure knows no party lines. However, what we can say is majority of the pushback, the majority of the truth coming forward has been hornswoggled by the Democrats. And hopefully with a president who's in there who wants to bring forward the truth and can do something to move it forward, let's put our hands together and pray that that's where it's going to go. Rick Roberts, you have your hand up.
I was watching a video earlier today, and they're talking about one last Hail Mary that Democrats may pull is having Biden be the disclosure president. You think there's any odds of that happening, or he's way too far out for that? I think that might bring them together. If they can bring this big story out, it would probably bring more people to Democrats back around.
Well, we have to look back. The only time that Biden has addressed the point of disclosure was when there was a press conference and someone asked him the question about UFOs and everything, and they said, well, go and ask Barack. And that's been the only statement that's come out from the president. Honestly, since that conversation happened, our executive branch has clamped down as much as possible on disclosure as they possibly could. Now, when we're at the start of the Biden administration, we heard from LUE that it was great and they were working with us and things are going to move forward. But then something monumental happened coming from the executive branch that shut it all down. It's a sad situation, to say the least.
And unexpected as to just how much of a clampdown it was going to be with this new administration at the time. Everybody was surprised that it shut down as hard and as fast as it did with no explanation.
Yeah. And we all want disclosure, irrespective of who's in power. But I've been saying for a while, my gut is telling me, and I'll run with my gut every time over anything that I'll think. My gut is telling me we have a much better chance with Trump being in office versus having Harris in office. And I just hope this is all correct. Yes, it comes down to transparency and the willingness to bring forward the truth, to shove the deep state out of the way and bring forward what we truly want in disclosure. And I've got a whole, a long piece tomorrow, tons of videos and everything that we'll cover on this tomorrow. Because we had to talk seriously about the hearing coming up. But with regards to what's happening in the areas of politics and disclosure, we'll be covering that one tomorrow, right, Mike?
Oh, absolutely. It's going to be a great conversation, and we're going to have a lot of fun with that, and it's going to be informative. But I just want to point out one more thing about his speech. When he made a point about truth and reconciliation, have you heard that term before applied for disclosure? I have.
You have.
That would allow the people who have been the gatekeepers and involved directly with these legacy programs for over 80 years to come forward and speak to the truth without being prosecuted and put into jail for the work that they have been covering up and doing this entire time.
Yeah.
That's a good thing, believe it or not. I know a lot of people want to see these people have their heads roll for what they've done, but truth and reconciliation will allow the truth about disclosure to come forward without them facing any consequences, which means they'll speak freely.
Yeah.
So I'm all for it if it'll get us closer to the truth.
Yeah. Just to remind people, yes, the Aurora's out. This is from New England earlier this evening. It's out. It's cranking. If you're in the northern part of the United States and you have clear skies, go out and look up. More importantly, look north. There's amazing light pillars out there. It's going on all evening. It's kicking up as we go on. It's an amazing Aurora Fest if you have the ability to get there, Mike.
Oh, it's a beautiful sight to see wherever you are, if you can see it.
I love this stuff. Absolutely. It's part of this wonderful solar cycle we're all in right now, Mike.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
And we'll have a lot more to talk about on the show tomorrow as well.
Oh, gosh, yeah. Absolutely. And I think that about... Is there anything else we haven't covered, Mike?
No, I think we're good.
Oh, yeah.
It's Friday night. We had a good conversation. A lot going on today. And a lot that's still going on ahead. We'll still have more to cover and more to talk about. And it was nice that the audience participated and jumped into the conversation.
Oh, gosh, yeah. It's wonderful to have that. Not just the audience, the people in the back. Rick Roberts, last comment for the night, my friend. Go ahead.
Hey, one thing, if Joe Rogan's watching, I want him to re-invite Kamala and Walls. We know their schedule's clear now. I still want to see a sit down with him and Rogan, and just let's let them talk. Let's see what they have to say. I know their schedule's clear.
I don't think they're going to have a lot to say because they received over $1 billion in campaign funds in a short period of time.
And 100 days,
right now,
and they're $20 million in debt.
Yes.
How can you get $1 billion in 100 days and wind up in debt? Oh, that's right. It's a Democrat Party.
Are they hiring?
Huh?
What was that?
I said, are they hiring? I'm available.
Yeah, but you're not going to get a paycheck, my friend.
Nope. A lot of the people working for the campaign claim they haven't been paid.
Yeah.
Not a good place to be. A lot of corruption, though, obviously.
Oh, yeah. But all the great advertising firms like JLo got $10 million. Was it 20? 10?
10 million for 2 minutes worth of work.
Wow.
That had no impact on the campaign itself.
No.
Right.
Not
so
at
mismanagement, corruption, call it what you will.
Yeah.
But it was a disaster.
It's one of those days.
It's
unfortunate. By that sound, Mike. By that sound. I want to go ahead and thank everybody for coming out to tonight's episode of Disclosure Tonight. More importantly, I want to thank everybody for your wonderful super chats. Holy cow. What a great month of November and all the super chats we're getting. Remember, if you have had a good time, give us a thumbs up. If not, give us a thumbs down. We'll take one or the other. We've hardly had enough people going ahead and telling us, yes, we like the show. Do us a favor. Every thumbs up or thumbs down we get, YouTube takes that and uses that as a reason, as viewer interactivity to share the show. More importantly, if you haven't subscribed yet, what the heck are you waiting for? Subscribe. We'd love to have you here as a regular in Disclosure tonight. More importantly, I thank the people, our friends in the audience, for the wonderful super chats tonight, including FreezerMan71, FaZe Will, Anonymous Rex, FaZe Will again, Eric Roth, and the Gurus, who I had no idea was from Australia, just saying. Also, Shelly Montgomery. Wow, what this Disclosure Tonight is the place to be. Better yet, I also want to go ahead and thank all of our friends in the chat tonight, because remember, the chat is where it's at. Who do we have out there who's been part of the show tonight? Participants in tonight's chat is AK, Anonymous Rex, also known as Tim Senor, Avi M, Brian Pemble, Country Carpenter, Elwan Hubbard, Eli McGinnis, Firefly, Greg O'Brien. Greg, were you not in the back? Where are you, my friend? Jan's been around, J-Cat, Kathy, Kelly Brout, she had to take off. We got a little bit too Trumpy for her, but that's okay. King Bull, Metal Gaming, Mr. Catfish 2100, also known as Yerpity Yerp, Neil Morgan, Paul DeMond, Peggy and her South Florida friend, Pete Liebel, Stephen Forbes Jr., the Mac Geek, Truth Seeker, UFO Busters That Show Australia, Yankee 58, and Yellow Tommy Tanker, also known as Andy. And I also want to go ahead and thank our friends in the back tonight that have been here for the show tonight, because it wouldn't be the same without our friends in the back talking about everything. Andy, thanks for coming out, my friend.
Yeah, my friend, no problems. I've been having some server issues tonight, so I've been dropping in and out.
Yes, thank you for being here, Andy. Brian, thanks for coming out in your commentary. Appreciate it.
Absolutely, anytime, Thomas. Remember, everybody, that the politics is messy. We're not taking one side or the other. We just want disclosure, and you're all a family, and we love all you guys.
Bingo. We're all in this together, no matter what party you're from, right, Brian?
That's exactly right.
Yes.
We want disclosure. That's why you call the show, Thomas. Disclosure tonight.
Absolutely. Freezer Man, thanks for coming out to my friend.
You're welcome, Thomas.
Laura Campbell, appreciate your attendance from the great state of Wisconsin.
I learned so much tonight, and it's been a year of discovery, uncovering the truths on all levels, and let's hope it continues into next year as well.
Fingers crossed, my friend. Michael Sokoloff from the great country of Canada, thanks for coming out.
Very interesting and exciting as usual.
You better believe it. None of ya business. Susan, thanks for being here. Appreciate the enthusiasm.
I'm always here. I'm stuck here.
You're always watching, waiting for the next attack.
I'm stuck here. This is my punishment.
Rick Roberts, appreciate you being here.
Anytime. Thank you.
And Tia Loreno, thanks for coming out, my dear lady.
Always, it's a pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah, and getting back to our dear friend Mike, disclosure. Where's that at? Thanks for coming out tonight, Mike. Appreciate you being here. Thanks for being a part of this, as usual. And thanks for the conversations, my friend.
Oh, my pleasure, Thomas. It's been a lot of fun. It's informative, and we always have a lot to cover.
Yeah.
So it's great. You did good job tonight. You know, it went by pretty quickly.
Oh, it did. It did. And as we usually say at the end of every episode of Disclosure tonight,
go back to Party City where you belong.
We'll catch you on the flip side. Good night, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow. Take care now. Good night. Bye-bye.